Good morning, good evening, friends. Welcome to my channel Ek Kitab Se Ek Moti, which in English means a pearl or gem from one book. Today, I'm going to read a short chapter, a small chapter from the book The Secret of Success, which has been written by Maulana Wahiduddin Khan. He wrote this book originally in Urdu. In Urdu, it's titled Raz-e-Hayat. This English translation has been done by Professor Farida Khanam, Dr. Nagma Siddiqui, and Maria Khan, and this book has been published by Good Word Books. Now, this book can also be downloaded, I think, from his official website, cpsglobal.org. That's cpsglobal.org. I'm not sure whether it's visible. And many of his books are available online, so you can download his books or you can buy these books from Amazon or Flipkart, or if you can go to one of the Woodward bookshops in some of the major cities, I think you can get his books easily. Maulana Wahiduddin Khan is known for his writings on positive thinking, on success, on religion, and quite a few other topics. A little bit of information about whom Maulana Wahiduddin Khan is. So, he is the founder of Center for Peace and Spirituality, New Delhi. The Maulana is the author of numerous best-selling books. He has been internationally recognized for his contributions to world peace. He passed away recently, I think, during the pandemic days, during the coronavirus days. And I think he lived up to be 90 or close to that. So he lived a long life and a successful life. Now, the subtitle of this book, I'm not sure whether I mentioned it. The title of this book is The Secret of Success. The subtitle is The Art of Unleashing Your Potential, Conquering Adversity, and Achieving High Goals. Now I'm going to read from a chapter that's titled Having the Courage to Err. Err is pronounced as err as well. That is making mistakes. Err is E-R-R, making mistakes. So let me first read this chapter and then I'll have a brief discussion on the concept, which is very important, I think, especially for people who are learning to do any new activity. It's very important. Having the courage to err, that is, having the courage to make mistakes. Two friends, Ahmad and Iqbal, both lived in the same city. Ahmad was a graduate, while Iqbal's education had not gone beyond the 8th standard. It happened once that Iqbal had to go to an office on business and was accompanied by his friend Ahmad. When the business had been transacted and they were both coming out of the office, Ahmad said to Iqbal, "You were speaking such horrible English." That is, Ahmad is making fun of Iqbal. Now, this is what actually stops most of us from starting something new, being ridiculed, being made fun of. I'll come to that in a short while. When the business had been transacted and they were both coming out of the office, Ahmad said to Iqbal, "You were speaking such horrible English. With such bad English, I would never have dared to open my mouth." Iqbal was not the slightest bit disconcerted at being so roundly criticized. Exuding confidence, he said, "Speak wrong English so that you can speak correct English." This is the principle. Speak wrong English so that you can speak correct English. Then he added, "Although you are a graduate and I have not got any degrees, you will soon find that I will start speaking in English and you will never be able to do so." That was 20 years ago. Now Iqbal's words have come true. Ahmad is still at the stage he was 20 years ago, but Iqbal astonishingly has made great progress. He now speaks English quite fluently and no one can fault him on grammar and pronunciation. This daring attitude on the part of Iqbal certainly proved to be of great advantage to him. For at the outset of his career, he just owned a small shop in the city, whereas today he runs a big factory. His maxim, "Speak wrong English so that you can speak correct English," had obviously, maxim in a sense, a precept, a principle. His maxim, "Speak wrong English so that you can speak correct English," had obviously, in his case, been the key to success. This principle on which Iqbal operated has a bearing not only on language, but on all practical concerns in life. That is, this principle can be transferred to other areas as well, can be used in other areas as well. This principle on which Iqbal operated has a bearing not only on language but on all practical concerns in life. In the present world, the potentially successful are those who are possessed with courage, who advance fearlessly and take the initiative in the face of risks. face of risks. Only those who have the courage to err will accomplish anything worthwhile in life. Those who are afraid of making mistakes will be left behind in the race of life, and their ultimate goals will recede further and further into the distance. So, one thing it teaches is that in any activity, it's quite natural and normal to make mistakes initially. So we should not be worried about that. We should not be afraid of making mistakes, and especially we should not be concerned about criticism. I mean, there are two ways of looking at criticism. There are people who correct you, who have who want you to get ahead in life. People of those kinds are good critics. That is, you can accept their constructive criticism to improve yourself. But then, how do you know whether the person who is criticizing you is a constructive critic or a destructive critic? First, let me kind of make this distinction clear. So, the constructive critic offers criticism or offers some feedback in order to help you improve, in order to help you become better. And the destructive critic offers criticism just to make fun of you, to discourage you, or maybe out of jealousy. Maybe he or she is afraid of your progress. Maybe they fear that is, I'm talking about the destructive critic. Maybe he or she fears that if you become better at what you're trying to do, you might become a competition for them, and you might replace their position in office or in business or whatever the field may be. So how do we distinguish between these two types of critics? It's quite easy. The tone they use in order to criticize you, if the tone is rude, it's obvious that the person doesn't intend to improve you. If there is rudeness, if there is harshness, if there is a kind of expression of ridicule on their face, it's quite obvious that they're not criticizing you for in order to benefit you. So it's better to just ignore them. I know you can still draw some constructive things from what they say, but just do it with a calm and cool mind without giving them much importance. I think it's Brutus in Shakespeare who says, I think about was it about Casca? I don't remember the name of the character. So he says that your words will just touch my cheeks like a gentle breeze and turn away, something like that. So just consider that kind of criticism like a gentle breeze, just touching you and just going on its way. That is, you need not be affected by that kind of criticism. Regarding constructive criticism, how do you know that the criticism is constructive? One thing is they won't criticize you in public, and the other thing is they would take a lot of pains to make sure that the way they phrase their criticism is quite soothing, or it doesn't sound harsh, and it has an encouraging tone. Because the important thing is words can be used to build people up or to tear them down. That is, it can be used to construct or destruct, to build something or demolish something. So words of destructive critics are destructive. That's why they are destructive critics. Their words demolish people's confidence. Their words demolish people's will to improve themselves. So just disregard destructive critics, and do give importance to the feedback that you receive from constructive critics. And that too, when I say give importance to the constructive critics, you need not lose confidence because of their feedback. You just take good information from wherever it comes and just try to put it into practice without being discouraged by any kind of criticism. That's one thing. The other thing is to start any activity, you should be ready to make mistakes. Mistakes are very natural. In fact, I think it's highly impossible to become proficient in anything without making mistakes. When I started tech writing, I mean, I used to be extremely afraid of making mistakes, which was wrong on my part. It's very natural to make mistakes, when writing English, especially, writing all these technical documents. And we have so many principles in technical writing. For example, using the active voice and using short sentences, making sure that the paragraph has a logical structure, and making sure that we use Anglo-Saxon words, that is short words instead of longer ones. And there are quite a few principles about principles about punctuation, that is and about sentence structures, how to avoid run-on sentences, and so on. So there are quite a few principles that we had to be conscious of, and sometimes it was very natural to forget them and make mistakes. I worked in call centers, so initially I used to make a lot of mistakes in English. Even now, sometimes I do make mistakes, but that's fine. I don't think in any activity we can become perfect at all. Perfection is an ideal. We can keep improving in every area of our lives. I think I mentioned in one of my videos that a writer of the caliber of John Ruskin said that he was still learning his own language, and that even if it's our mother tongue, we can never master it. We can just get closer and closer to perfection as we learn the language, progressively. So I think that's what this chapter is all about. That is, willing to make mistakes and courageously taking up a new task or starting a new activity, and not being discouraged by criticism. So let me just recapitulate what this chapter was all about. So we had two characters. One of them was a graduate, but he was hesitating. He had a fear of making mistakes. But the other fellow was not a graduate, had studied up to the 8th standard, but still was willing to make mistakes. And his formula was speak English incorrectly until you start speaking it correctly. So his formula was based on this principle of production preceding perfection. That is, to master any activity, you first start doing it, make some mistakes, learn from it, then again put it into practice. That is, you act, then you learn from that action, then you act again in a better way, then you learn again, and then you act better and better and better. That works in a spiral, actually, and that's how you master any activity. The basic thing the basic thing that we learn from this chapter is that you should have the courage to err, that is, the courage to make mistakes. If you are timid, if you're afraid of making mistakes, if you worry about being criticized, then it'll be difficult for you to succeed. So if you want to succeed, and I think everyone wants to succeed, just have courage and be willing to make mistakes in any activity that you start, and don't worry about the critics. And if you're worried about the critics, just listen to a speech delivered by Teddy Roosevelt, I think, and it's called "The Man in the Arena," because people who act are always superior to people who just watch others act, watch others do things, and criticize from the sidelines, from the fence. So I hope you liked this video. Thanks a lot.